Okay, so we have here Creator's Kingdom on top. And this Creator's Kingdom is a kingdom within itself, which means it has many, many beings, many spiritual beings, and within its own hierarchy. And then this descends into into the kingdom of human being, or the humane being. And then below that comes an animal kingdom, the kingdom of animals and beasts. Then after that comes the kingdom of plants and vegetation. And at the end, the last one, it's the kingdom of minerals. Okay, now what you see, the human being on top, on top, the one in the human being kingdom, that being is the one that the light, the rays are around it. That's the human being. And you see that the line between the Creator's kingdom and the human being's kingdom is not as those other lines. That line is cut. It means that these two kingdoms were very close to one another at the beginning of. Basically, they are very close to one another. That means the human being has an access to Creator's kingdom. Now, so because he or she has an access to the Creator's kingdom, all the other kingdoms below human being's kingdom are submissive kingdoms. That means that basically the human being has dominion over them. Now, the one on the right side is like a shadowy human being. That's your perception of yourself. And you see, when in the perfect condition of you having an access to the Creator's kingdom and being on top of all the other kingdoms below you, you perceive yourself as a human being, which means the perception of yourself and yourself were one. Now, what happens when the bond was broken somewhere along the line in time? Let's see this. Okay, the bond is now broken. Now you see the kingdom, the line of the Creator's kingdom, between the Creator's kingdom and human being's kingdom. Now the line is full. It's no longer cut, which means immediately when the bond was broken, the perception of yourself became a different thing than you, which means like you started perceiving yourself differently. You became split within yourself, and now the real human being started forgetting who he or she is. And that's your perception. You forgot about yourself, who you basically really are. The perception of yourself and you became two different things. So now you do not longer perceive yourself as who you are, but something that you are not. Let's see what you perceive yourself as. That's why you have no longer the access to Creator's kingdom. You no longer truly understand the Creator. Because of the way you live, the way you perceive yourself. Because there is such a huge gap between you and the Creator now in your perception. One whole kingdom is missing in between, which means that you need to, in order for you to bridge that gap, the only way is through yourself, which means you need to become a human being again, basically the human being, the one from the very beginning. And of course the bond was broken because you started changing your ways, because you started listening to everything else but love within your heart. And in order to bridge that gap and to bridge it through yourself, which means through the human being, is that you need to listen to your heart and at the same moment deny your body when your body tries to deny your heart. You know what I mean? So let's go down. You kind of like became selfish. Why? Because look, animals, beasts, they're selfish. They mate, they kill for food. They have a territory. They don't care. They're not as compassionate as the real human is. I'm not saying they're not soft. I'm not saying they're not gentle. I'm not saying they're not. But they don't think. They react. They can think only they have an instinct, so they don't need to think so much. But we think, humans, we think, we have these evaluating processes within our mind. We evaluate all the time. Is this good? Is this bad? Is this right? Is this wrong? Do we need this? Should we get this? Should we have something else? You know what I mean? So anyways, now, because your perception fell down, you started perceiving yourself as, you see what? Animals, beast. So, and you started acting and behaving like that. You started treating yourself and others around you in the whole environment as that. So which means, like, now you took a dominion, but no longer dominion in your intelligence and your heart. You took a dominion, like, physically and mentally also. And now you pushed, because of that, nothing really changed. Nothing. The reality didn't change. Only your perception of the reality changed. Your perception of the reality now made all the kingdoms slide down one level. Let's see, like this. You see, everything went down. And now, because this happened, you truly blocked yourself from the Creator's kingdom. You are basically outside of it. You have no clue what Creator's kingdom is now. So all these, like when you have even in Bible and in all the sorts of ancient writings, when they talk about paradise and Garden of Eden and all this stuff, you no longer understand what that means. You no longer truly get it. Like, how would you have to live? What that basically means? What would you do if you would be in a paradise? You know what I mean? In a place like paradise. What is heaven? You know what I mean? So now you see, minerals disappeared into nothing, which means, like, rocks, stones, you don't even think this is anything alive. Now plants slid down to minerals, which means now plants are treated like stones, which means you don't really care about plants. You don't think they can feel you. You don't think, just because they don't look like you believe like they're dead. They grow, they die, they're born again, but that doesn't make you think that they're anything special. That doesn't make you think they are beings. You just think that it's a thing that grows and dies or whatever. So anyways, now animals slid down to plants, which means animals have to move away from us, because for the human being to feel safe, animals have to be stuck in some corner where they just be at peace. But there's no way. Animals are not like that. Plus, beasts are not like that. Beast has a strong spirit of wilderness within itself. So there's no way it cannot move. It cannot be the way it is. Now you started domesticating all sorts of animals, treating them like they have to be like you. Sit down. Don't do this. If two dogs fight, you say, "Oh, that's not good. You bad dog, bad dog." That's how it is. There's dogs. They're supposed to fight. But now you shouldn't be like that. And look at the world around you, and the wars and all the conflicts and all the craziness and all the nonsense. It's like lion cannot stand hyena, but you cannot stand another race, or you cannot stand another nation. You see what I'm saying? Or you cannot stand someone from a different territory coming to your territory. It's very strange, It's really, really strange. So you need to think about it, like, who was a real human being? Who was this being up here? This one. Who was this being? Very magnificent being, very strong, and of extreme magnificent powers. What all he or she could do. Believe me, it's mysterious, and it's really amazing how majestic that human being really was. You have just try to picture it. Just try to picture what all the powers and abilities and capabilities you lost by breaking the bond and becoming and started seeing yourself as something way lower. That's why all the powers are now taken away from you. And you're not gonna get them back unless you change your ways and stop with selfishness.